What's up, guys? The Farooqi Bros here, back with another podcast. And today, for you guys, we're going to be talking about some of the latest movies that have been coming out as we kick off the summer blockbuster seasons. And there's a bunch of movies that are coming out, and also one we missed from last week that we want to get to as we took a break last week. So let's just get right into it and attack all of them. I'm thinking we should have started from first. I think we should have done that in our pre-production notes. Didn't get it done. But where do you guys want to start? Because honestly, I can go anywhere. You want to go with Ballerina since we missed that from last week?
Since that was the earliest, we can start with that one.
Right. So from the official title is From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. This is the latest movie in the Wick franchise. And maybe I'll just go first and give my thoughts. So, coming into Ballerina, I'm hoping for a lot of the same things that make a John Wick movie good. I'm hoping for some high octane action. I'm hoping for a lot of kinetic energy. I'm hoping for some strong moments and action set pieces. And for the most part, I think we got all of that. I think there's some great set pieces across the film. I think Ana de Armas adds a lot of star power to the film. Well, not as, let's say, as fluid as the mainline John Wick films. I think there's a lot of fun that still can be had in the movie. I think there is a sense of like, I don't want to say it's like the diminishing returns that you get every single time you try to do one of these things, but you do get a sense that it's like almost like John Wick 0.5. Like you're never going to get as good as the John Wick movies, but it's always trying to be that. So part of me that kind of limited the scope of this movie. Honestly, this movie had nothing to do with John Wick. It was just called Ballerina, and it was about just someone else. I would have probably been a little more like open to it because you're basing it in that world. You're hoping for a lot of the same strengths. Maybe there's 2 or 3 sequences that do feel very John Wick. I think overall it's a little weaker across the board, though I do think there are some strong moments. And I think, again, Ana de Armas, I think she was pretty good as a lead star. So those are my main things. I think the way John Wick himself was used in the film, it's been out for 2 weeks, so full spoilers, I think, are let's go from. I think the way John Wick was handling the movie was pretty good. He was in the movie a little longer than I thought. I thought maybe they'll put him for a cameo. He had a small role, throughout the film. I think they used him well. And what is his name? Baba Yara, like
Baba Yaga, yeah.
They used that aspect of him well, so I did enjoy that. But overall, it's a good popcorn movie. I don't think it's going to think too hard about it. Just sit, enjoy some cool action, some cool what's it called, gun fu, like a little bit of gun fu. That's what you're gonna get. So overall, I give it 3.5. Part of me is thinking we can go down to 3, but I'm gonna give it 3.5 for now. It might be indicative of kind of the year as a whole. I think 2025 is not the strongest year for movies, but it is, it has some good bangers in there. But I think Ballerina is just kind of right in the middle. Definitely above average, but maybe might not see it twice, but it's pretty good. That's my general review. What about you, Zion?
I agree that it's kind of like above average movie, and the law of diminishing returns really is somewhat in play in this film, especially coming off of the high of the franchise, which was John Wick 4. So, obviously it won't reach that high, but I think it did do a good job being serviceable in what it was trying to do, and with the action, and of course, the lead actress, her performance. I think she did prove that she kind of can handle the lead role in a diverse aspect, whether it's an action movie or any other type of movie. So, kudos to her as well. But I think some of the action sequences were fun. They did kind of pull in that John Wick style. So you had that high octane, that exhilarating thrill of it. But the story itself was more of that generic revenge plot with a very, very kind of predictable output and ending. But I think even still is just, you're not really going into these movies for the plot per se. You're going in there for the action. I think this did deliver for the most part. And like you said, I think they handled John Wick's involvement well in this movie. So it wasn't oversaturated. We weren't relying on him as a character the whole time, which was a good thing. They made sure to kind of leave the movie as it is. And then at certain points, you inject a little bit of John Wick in there. And then it adds more of the, I guess, importance of the moment. So I think that was handled very well. And I think overall, it was a solid movie. It is, like you said, one of those kind of just fun action popcorn movies you go and watch. You don't think too much of. So if that's what they were going for, they did their job well, and it was fun overall. So I don't have too many knocks about it, but like you said, it wasn't like top of the mountain or anything like that broke any barrier or anything like that.
So what score did you give in the end?
I gave it a 3.5.
The same as me, pretty much. Samir, what about you? What do you think about Ballerina?
I completely agree with all your points. I think when it comes to expanding the franchise, I think this was more of the right direction to go in than when they tried to do that Continental show a few years
Right.
back, which I don't remember hearing that much about it or how well it was received or what they're going to do with it. From now on, I think this was the right way to go. And yeah, the story was a little cliche or a little weak, but you're really there for the action and the aura really. And it was their origin story, so they had John Wick they had Keanu Reeves there also to kind of help in that department. So overall, I completely agree with all your points. If they if they do go forward with this, I'm not sure. Are they going to go forward with the franchise? Like, are they going to give
Don't
a
know.
sequel? If
I
they
know
do,
there's a
kind of.
Don Yen movie coming out though. They're doing another John Wick movie about him as a character, but that takes place after 3 or maybe after 4 even. I don't know if he survives that movie. He survives, right? Yeah. So I think so I think he's getting a solo movie, but I'm not sure if she's getting a sequel.
I mean, they're doing John Wick 5 too. So
Yeah.
I guess if they're going to expand the franchise all out like that, they might as well give her more to do.
They left it open, like at the end. Now that all the contracts out on her, also,
Yeah.
it's like it's an open-ended thing where okay, she's around, she's doing something. They could do a movie like that, but then it just be a copy of what they already did with John Wick when the contract was on him and the whole plot of the fourth movie. So, it wouldn't make sense to kind of redo that with her character.
Yeah. I'm just pulling up these box office numbers. I want to kind of give them and going. We're walking to our second week of John Wick, and basically worldwide, it's made $60 million. Domestically, it made 34 million. So it's not doing like gangbusters. Then again, a rated R action movie that doesn't tend to do that great numbers anyways. But it is less than the other John Wick movies for the most part. So that's what it's looking at right now. Domestic 34 million, worldwide 60 million. Maybe it'll make 100. Maybe it'll crawl into the 100 rank. But that's kind of what it's looking like right now. I can probably pull up the rest of the John Wick numbers just so we can get a sense of what the first one made as a good comparison. So John Wick 1 made 86 million worldwide. So it's in that range. I think the budgets aren't that high for these movies to kind of get them out. But if you compare to John Wick Chapter 4, that made 450 million. So there's definitely making less than that. So it's interesting to think about what they're doing with this franchise. But I think it's worthy for a sequel. I did like how this movie takes place like in between the first 2 movies or the first 3 movies. Like, so you're catching John Wick whenever he does show up. It's like in between many of his moments. I think up to 3. So past 3, I think he starts going to his own place. But interesting to think about. So Samir, what was your score?
I give it a 3.5 too.
Three
I
and a
could
half.
bring it down to like for the same reasons, but I think 3.5 is a fair score.
Yeah, I guess we're all in the same boat there. So from there, I want to join another film, and this film we can discuss it. But I feel like the more interesting thing about this film is going to be discussing the overall situation in Hollywood concerning what this film's all about. Because I want to talk about How to Train Your Dragon, specifically in the realms of is this the best live action remake? And when you say that almost with a couch with like this asterisk because how many live action remakes have been even good? And we kind of discussed this when we were talking about Lilo and Stitch last week. And we were discussing kind of like, well, not last week, 2 weeks ago, when we were discussing kind of where Lilo and Stitch looks like in this kind of Disney need to keep making new movies and new live action movies of old properties. Now Lilo and Stitch is making amazing numbers, doing crazy at the box office. Very big difference from what Snow White was doing. So what were the lessons to be learned? This is Universal's, if I'm not mistaken, it might be their first try at a live action movie. So let's get into it. I'll give my review first, and then after reviews we can kind of discuss about what this looks like for the filmmaking landscape for animated to live action anyways. So for me, How to Train Your Dragon, honestly, it is probably one of the best. I haven't thought of it the best live action remakes for an animated movie, and one of the reasons that it's very faithful. But it's faithful for a reason different than Lion King, because you could say, okay, well, wasn't Lion King faithful? Same script, same music, same everything, yet something was clearly missing. For How to Train Your Dragon, surprisingly, while the script is almost one-to-one of the original and the score is almost one-to-one of the original, I feel like they did a pretty good job retaining the heart and soul of the animated movie, specifically when it comes to the animation. I think that's when it made a big difference. I know we said that funny because it's a live-action remake, but the CGI of Toothless in this film is really strong. They put a lot of effort to making that character look as real as possible. Now, are there gripes in the movie? Sure. And I'm going to say straight up, I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5 right? Did I give 3.5? I have to check my own score. They have 3.5 out of 5, and the original movie for me is a 4. So then one of the big differences is this film, the acting, sometimes it can be a little cliche. I think some of the characters are really phoning it in, and they're not. I get it, all caricatures because there were characters in the cartoon as well. But I feel like some of these side characters, like I couldn't stand them. Like I don't know what's going on. And then even Gerard Butler, like the dad of the film, he's the only person who kind of plays the character across both versions, similar to how James Earl Jones played Mufasa across both versions. And this time, I kind of feel like he's a little worse in live action because he has a harder time kind of almost like playing that character again with all like the makeup and the costume design. I feel the costume is a little weaker than it could have been, but there's more pros than cons. And I'm gonna talk about my pros first. I think the pros are that you feel the journey like with these characters, and I feel like there is and it's credit to the original film really because the story is very good. I think there's a very strong story here between Hiccup and Toothless and the whole concept of dragons, and ironically the person who directed the original movie, wrote the original movie, is the original writer for Lilo and Stitch, which is also coming out, so like kind of two competing movies from the same mind. But I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here, and I think it's great for the kids. And one of the reasons why that's actually bearing fruit is that it's actually doing amazing at the box office right now. It made $80 million just in the first weekend, and that's higher than any of the original trilogy. So I'm giving it 3 out of 5. Zion, what about you? I don't know where you stand on the film, but for me, that's where I'm thinking about it.
Oh, you first said 3.5 and I said 3 out of 5. Which one are you going?
3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything. I think it is doing very well at the box office. Like when I went to see it, it was like lots of families and everybody there. It was like even like kids, and not just the families, but also their friends. So it's like kind of like a mini eventful for them. So I understand why it's doing very well at the box office, because it is kind of a very fun and adaptable film for families. But I think one good point that you made was how the writing of the original animated version translates now in live action. I think because it's strong, this film works better in a sense than Disney films do, because though Disney is like, they do still kind of go there, they touch on things like death and stuff like that with movies like Lion King and otherwise, but sometimes some of these Disney movies, they just don't translate the same way in live action. Whether that's because the animation is so spectacular and like so much of the magic is part of it that it looks so dull and lifeless in live action. That's part of it, but I feel like even some of the writing, it doesn't work as well in live action. Now with How to Train Your Dragon, like you said, yeah, there's some corny moments and cheesy side characters that are kind of annoying to watch, but they're good for the kids. And I think that in a post MCU world, that actually does work. So those characters, the kids were all laughing, and even the parents are laughing. So everybody's enjoying those dumb moments. And that actually worked in live action too. So I thought that was interesting. But sometimes Disney, on the other hand, it doesn't work as well, which is a surprising thing to notice. But for this movie overall, I never actually saw the animated version, so I went to this fresh in a sense. But I've only heard amazing things about the animated version. That's highly regarded. So going to this fresh, even then, surprisingly, I found it to be very enjoyable. And like you said, the story kind of is what carries the movie, past the acting, past the performances, which I think it speaks volumes to kind of how Universal does their animated films versus how Disney does theirs. So this franchise, I can see that, yeah, this works well in live action and in animation. So I'm glad that it's actually doing well in its box office, and I hope to see the sequels come out live action as well. So it was a surprise. It was a surprise to see it do well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I came into this film kind of pessimistic because I was thinking that, number one, the CEO pretty much said that we're making this movie really to service the park, because Epic Universe, the new Universal Studios theme park, has a whole land dedicated to How to Train Your Dragon. So this was great cross-marketing material. Let's make a movie. It makes people remember How to Train Your Dragon. If you were, it came out in 2013. It was a long time ago, actually. But so people who are maybe younger there will remember it, and people who are new kids will kind of introduce themselves to the world. So that when they want to go to the theme park, they're going to want to spend time in Isle of Berk, So that's kind of one of the reasons. So when I thought about that, I'm like, oh, this is just one of those cash grabs, very similar to Lilo and Stitch. And Lilo and Stitch, all of us talked about this last 2 weeks ago. I think the average score between us was like 2 or 2.5 out of 5. So there's a big difference here when we're kind of bumping this movie up a little more. I think one of the things is that it tries to remain true to the original. I think they're in a way that's not I don't know, like pretentious or trying to change for no reason. Like Lilo and Stitch, we talked about it at length. The way they changed the ending of that movie almost like spits in the face of the original movie's point. And it's not. And then even let's say for Snow White, where you have a bunch of cast issues, and then you also the movie's quite different in terms of what they wanted to do with the Snow White character. So things are always changing. And then Mufasa, which is not even it's not a direct remake. None of us had much good to say about that movie either. So there's like this trend. But now let's talk about the trend going forward. For Samir, first you can give me your opinion, not in the midst of this movie. I don't know if you can see it, but How to Train Your Dragon is a franchise. Do you think that this franchise, like Zian's point, is better fit for that live action transition rather than a Disney film?
Well, first off, I think the animated films are enough for it to serve its purpose. I think they were both very well. I mean, they were all very well done. And I think I recently saw an interview with the director where he was asked about if he saw Lilo and Stitch and what he thought about the changes, and he said he hadn't seen it, but he did make a point to say that what's good about How to Train Your Dragon is that it kind of carries over that creative vision with bringing him on, So there's like a level of care there that kind of does it well. So if they do continue to do it in live action, I think it's because he's on board and he's there to make it what it is, to make it faithful to the adaptation and not change too much about it. So I mean, dragons in live action, I guess that's cool, but I think the Disney and Pixar films should also just stick to animation. I think animation is good for them.
Yeah, I'm pure animation as a medium and respecting it. I do feel like this franchise does translate pretty well, and I'm pro seeing the next few movies, especially because I actually didn't mind the main kid who played Hiccup. Like, I don't mind his acting overall. I think he's pretty good. The other ones, I was like a little like not that interested in, but I think definitely I was very invested in the dragons. I think they across the board, the CGI was quite good for them. Like, I never felt like, oh, I'm getting taken out of it. I felt like they did a pretty good job making the CGI look good in the movie. And I'm excited for the future films because the arc of these movies is very strong. There's like a lot of age. You're going to age these characters up. There's huge like developments for these guys throughout the trilogy. So I would love to see that take place because the trilogy takes place over like almost their whole adulthood. Like, so it's like there's a lot there for live action transition. But then again, the question keeps coming back that what makes this different than what Disney's doing? And is it the songs? Is that because Disney has music that's one of the reasons why it's hard to translate? But then even that, I don't know if that's a good enough excuse. Like, I can't tell. That being said, for Universal Studios, what's next? Like, do you make Shrek live action? Do you make Madagascar live action? Like, what do you do now?
See, that's the thing. They can't get greedy.
Yeah, what left to learn?
This franchise does work, and I feel like partly is because of that human element, partly is because of the story, and it's probably because of the magic involved, like the fantasy aspect of it. But things like Shrek, it would be terrible in live action, This at Madagascar would be terrible in live action. Like, imagine they did the Lion King treatment and Alex the Lion's like a very realistic looking guy and like National Geographic, no emotion. How terrible would that be? It's like, that's what I'm worried about. Will Universal get greedy and kind of jump the gun and be like, now let's greenlight all these other ones that have no place in live action at all? Like, Kung Fu Panda should not be in live action. You already have CGI animation, and then don't redo the CGI for these films to make it like real life CGI because my hands are spinning. Because that's terrible, It's like that's where you get to that cash grab money situation that Disney's up to. Because also, in the last point about the directors and what they're saying, there was also another recent interview with the Lilo and Stitch director. I'm not sure you guys saw that quote. He was like, they asked him about the changes he made and the backlash on that side. And he was like, well, guess what? People do leave and, you have to learn how to cope with it and stuff like that. I'm like, what kind of cynical view is this for a Lilo and Stitch movie for 2-year-olds? It's like, learn to cope with, people do get left behind, that's real life. I'm like, what kind of, who put this guy in charge of Lilo and Stitch movie? It's like, so I'm glad that, How to Train Your Dragon didn't decide that, the dragons do deserve to die, because, it's 2025 and that's life now. So that was also a big difference between Disney. They just don't know what they're doing. Dumb decisions.
I mean, Shaw's made a point about how Gerard Butler carried over. There's a Disney live action coming out with an actor that's carrying over with Charles' favorite Moana, Dwayne Johnson in the role.
That is true.
That has songs too. Maybe it'll break the curse of live action. And Lion King did well in the box office. So if they
1.5 billion.
so if they
1.5 billion.
if they do the animals like the Madagascar from live action, it'd be interesting to see them do it and like take the criticism that the Lion King got and make it like expressive animals. I mean, if they're gonna do it, maybe.
At that point, it's even a live action remake, just a CGI remake. It's just 2D to 3D. I'm thinking now, what is the best? What if you had to choose one DreamWorks project? No matter what, it has to get the treatment. You can't pick How to Train Your Dragon anymore. It's done now. What would you pick? But I feel like a guy like Samir, he wants Megamind in live action.
Megamind live action. I feel like there's a film similar to that already.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Here's if you forget what DreamWorks looks like, here's some examples of DreamWorks movies. Okay, now for Samir, he's a big flushed away guy. I know this.
I'm a huge flushed away, huge.
I mean, you are the main character.
That one's B movie real life. I'm telling you.
But that is Samir. He is flushed away. I mean, this is look the guy.
Shark Tale. It's been a while. They got to bring him back.
I mean, Shark
Tale. How would do Shark Tale live action?
You need Will Smith to play the character again. That's the thing. I'll be honest. None of these movies make a lot of sense for live action. I guess maybe
I'll tell you which ones make a little more sense. Like Road to El Dorado, or like
they'll never do it.
Prince of Egypt, maybe. I don't know.
They'd never do it. That's the thing.
They would never do it, but those are the type of movies that could work.
How about like a Wallace and Gromit?
Wallace and Gromit, yeah, that makes sense.
People are so pissed. They're like,
that would be the worst thing ever. You can't do that.
Crudes. Who's a Crudes guy here? Turbo.
I'm a big Crudes hater, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, okay. There's the Bad Guys. That can work.
The Bad Guys 2 is coming out.
Oh yeah. All right. I've come to the conclusion that unless you're making Chicken Run, there's no way to do it. They have a lot of like animals as their main character.
They don't lend themselves to live action, except How to Train Your Dragon. Honestly,
that's true.
Maybe Prince of Egypt, but why would they remake that? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then there's what is the hidden? Was the third movie? The Hidden World. Why don't you call it How to Train Your Dragon 3? All right, we've come to the conclusion that
they're in the era where they thought a number would scare people away.
Yeah, because How to Train Your Dragon 2 is literally called How to Train Your Dragon 2. Yeah. All right, I've come to conclude it has to be flushed away. There's no other choice.
Has to be Sinbad.
Kung Fu Panda? That's already pretty much CGI. What else you can do with that?
Yeah, exactly. What else can you do?
Sinbad.
Also, a lot of the old school ones, like How to Train Your Dragon, and Shrek even, what carried it, especially Shrek, things like Shrek, what carries it is the writing. Like Shrek 1 is really, if you look at it, it's terrible CGI, but the writing is so good. But when you compare Disney's old school Renaissance animation movies, even older, all of Disney's like old school drawn animation, they're so vibrant and so colorful and so amazingly done that no matter how much CGI they do or what they try, it'll never be what it was in animation ever. Yeah. Same with Lilo and Stitch. We see it in live action, it doesn't work. Now with CGI, Moana also very, very vibrant. Like the magic was there in the animation, even though CGI, it won't be like that in live action. Like Disney is just, they set the bar too high in the animation where it'll never meet the mark of live action, no matter how much they try. Universal, the writing is what's king. So then something like How to Train Your Dragon can translate. Shrek, it can't, but even still, the writing's king.
I got great news for you, Jan. They updated the Shrek models, the animation models. So you're gonna get the vibrant Pixar Shrek model, bro.
No, but here's the problem. The trade-off was the writing just fell off.
We don't know yet.
Well, we know from the last two films.
They might go to the real world, like Shrek goes to the real world.
The real world?
Yeah, he's going to go to the real world, bro.
The Barbie treatment for Shrek?
I don't know, but for Moana, one other thing Moana is interesting is that this movie just came out for I guess 2016 wasn't that long ago. It's been 10 full years, but it wasn't. Then they're gonna make Frozen next. Like that's all they gotta do. They gotta start taking these new age movies and start turning them into live action versions. And I don't know if that's gonna work. I know there's a Hercules movies in development. I don't know where that is in its cycle.
Is it the first CGI movie they're making live action?
For Moana.
Yeah. Disney. Has everything else been animation?
I think that's the first CGI to live action. Yeah. And because they get, like Samir said, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing it, I'm surprised we haven't gotten Aladdin 2. That's $1 billion movie that did not try to go back to that world. They just left it there.
Yeah, because Will Smith. It's done.
Yeah, but what? Because of the slap?
Yeah, Disney's crazy. They're not gonna associate with that.
I think they should make an Aladdin 2 because there's so much money on the cutting room floor there.
I don't think so. They can't.
Cruella 2?
The problem with Aladdin 1 is that they jumped the gun and already made Genie like a regular guy at the end. What are they doing? Like that cut off any chance of a sequel.
No, but he's still like the regular. He's still a.
No. If they should have followed it, where by the third movie, then he finally gets freed. You know.
I think he was always a regular guy. I can't remember them anymore. He was blue only a little bit of times.
No. I meant like
they freed him. They freed him the first one too.
That he also gave up his powers or something.
Is that what happened? I hope not.
Because in the other one, like, oh, he's free now, but he still has his powers. So like Genie, but I feel like now at the end of this one, he's like, I'm a normal guy living a normal life, and he has like a wife or something now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I know.
remember he got the girl.
I know he got a wife. Yeah, I remember that. But and I know they canceled the Tangled movie. That was supposed to come out. They canceled it because of how Snow White performed. So I think they're learning the wrong lessons here and there. I think Disney just making a lot of bad mistakes in general. Hunchback of Notre Dame remake could work. I mean, that's the one.
See, that could work. But again, the writing is so good about that movie that it can make people carry.
You also need to cast the movie well. They say a Cruella 2 is in development. I don't know if it's ever going to come out. Based on my reading, there's a Prince Anders movie, a spin-off of Beauty and the Beast that should never come out. I think
that sounds like the worst thing.
The Aristocats. I think that could have come out if that Cats movie did well.
That's one of the worst things you ever do in real life.
The Cats movie. Was that 2018, 19? When did it come out? Was that pre-COVID? But
I think that was like right on the cusp of COVID. Like that caused COVID in a way.
Yeah. Did we ever get a Peter Pan? I mean, a million Peter Pans, but did we get one? A Disney one though? We didn't get a Disney one. We just got like there's a million Peter Pan movies. That's why they're not gonna make it. A Bambi movie, maybe, I don't know, but there's not much else you can do there.
See, that's what I'm talking about. How can you do a Bambi movie in real life? All the emotion is stripped away in 1 second, And they tried with Dumbo, and Dumbo failed so bad.
Officially, the 4 films that are announced are Moana, The Aristocats, Hercules, and Bambi. So they are being made. Those are the 4 being made. And the ones that have come out are in order. 101 Dalmatians, but it doesn't even count. That was in the 90s, but that was technically a remake.
That was pretty good.
102 Dalmatians. Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton version, that was technically a Disney remake. The Sorcerer's Apprentice was a remake of Fantasia. I don't remember seeing this movie. Who's in this movie? What the hell is this? Okay. Maleficent, which was all right. I think. Cinderella, which most people say is one of the better Disney live action remakes. The Jungle Book, which came out the same time as Mowgli, right? It was like around.
Yeah, like they both came out.
They were competing. Alice Through the Looking Glass. I've never seen that.
That's favorite movie.
Those are based on books, so they're adaptations. They're not even remakes, really.
Beauty and the Beast, which was the beginning of.
Well, here's the thing: they are based on books, but is it a remake of is it like an adaptation of the book or a remake of the Disney version?
They said this was a sequel to the Disney remake because it was still was it Johnny Depp playing? Yeah. And then we come to the modern age, which is Beauty and the Beast, remake of Beauty and the Beast. Christopher Robin, which is a remake of Winnie the Pooh, apparently.
A rare banger.
Beauty and the Beast was pretty good too, I think. I think Beast was miscast, but
I think Belle was miscast.
Dumbo, which was I think straight to Disney Plus maybe, and it just came and flopped. The Tim Burton one. Aladdin.
It wasn't theaters, just bombed.
It bombed, yeah. Then there's Aladdin. That was $1 billion movie. Guy Ritchie. The Lion King, $1.5 billion movie. Still the highest grossing live action remake. Then it's Maleficent 2, which I thought was pretty bad compared to the first one. Then there's Lady and the Tramp. I think that was definitely Disney Plus. There's no way that came in theaters.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of that.
It did. It came and went. Yeah, the live action Lady and Tramp, 2019.
There's no way that exists. There's no way.
How does it even work?
Directed by Charlie Bean. Came out in 2019. Mulan, which I would say is one of the worst ones.
That is one of the maybe bottom 2.
Mulan, we did many podcasts about it. That just they know what they're doing, and that was a very far departure from what the original movie was. Cruella, which I thought was okay actually, a little change of pace.
It was okay, but I don't know. How do you get from that to where she wants to kill and skin the dogs for her?
No, they were there. No, they were there by the end. I could tell I believe she was by the end.
No, she did not get to that point where like, oh yeah, kill the dogs.
But did Maleficent ever get to that point either? They're just doing the Maleficent treatment for her.
Yeah, but Maleficent's magic. Cruella's a real life.
She gets, but
like a-
when she gets to the point where she's going to kill her adopted daughter and become a dragon, that's never going to happen. Like in that universe. Pinocchio, Robert Zemeckis, that came and went too. Sadly, that stacked cast. They had.
that bombed so bad.
Yeah, but they had
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Wasn't it at the same time?
Yeah, you ran into a juggernaut.
It was like a Jungle Book situation.
Yeah, and you couldn't beat, even though you had Tom Hanks and as Geppetto, still wasn't enough. Peter Pan and Wendy, it did come out. 2023.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
It
Peter
did?
Pan.
What the hell is that?
It
I've never
came
seen
out
the
in 23, bro. That's all I know.
Came and went.
Then there's The Little Mermaid, which I think was below average, maybe 2.5. I don't know what I gave it.
It wasn't a terrible movie. It was just.
I think my thing is I think
Okay.
she was good in the movies. I think I liked her as Ariel. I just don't know what was going on anywhere else. Was it 1-to-1?
No, I think they did do some changes.
They changed something. I remember they changed something that I remember being changed. It's me to see The Little Mermaid.
No, didn't they add an Aquafina character or something?
That was it. That alone put the character.
No. The seagull was always there. It was just her performance.
Oh, they added
a song. They added a
They
song.
added
Lin-Manuel Miranda was the problem in that movie.
Oh yeah, that song, yeah. And then Mufasa the Lion King, which had something's going for it.
I mean, it was slightly better than the regular Lion King, but
No, it wasn't.
also a garbage movie.
I switched back. The original Lion King is way better.
No, it wasn't.
Mufasa, it's like
Actually, you're right. They're both equally just garbage. I'm telling you.
Mufasa, my problem is, like the songs were really bad. Lin-Manuel Miranda. I know the Brothers song got super viral, which helped them a little bit. Like
in the wrong way.
I hate that.
But I guess bad publicity is still worth it.
It's still work. I think the kids liked it. The kids will watch Mufasa then, And then, the cast was okay. I didn't like the Scar, like the storyline, how he became evil. Yeah. And then they're all fighting on Pride Rock.
We can't get started.
There's like a volcano under Pride Rock and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on.
We can't get started on Scar's a 1 second change to super fast. Give up on everything he stood for.
Just it
Just
was with
because
Robbie.
he lost that one conversation with his girlfriend.
No, it's crazy. Then Snow White, which we all kind of agree is one of the worser vehicles, and then Lilo and Stitch. So it's not looking good. And the question now I'm going to finally, before we have spent too much time on this topic, but now I've listed every single movie on that list. Is How to Train Your Dragon the best live action remake?
I don't think so. I didn't watch it.
What of the list I just said to you, which one would you say, oh yeah, this is definitively better?
What was the Winnie the Pooh one?
Oh, it's Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin.
Now, is that a 1-to-1 remake?
That's not honestly, I don't consider that a remake either.
Because that's not a movie. There was no movie about Christopher Robin as an adult. They just took the Winnie the Pooh books and they just said, we're going to tell a story about it.
That's not making it good.
It's not a remake. It's not a remake. I don't think you can.
Because that is better for sure, but we're
It's
discounting.
better, yeah.
I'm talking about a 1-to-1 remake.
An actual remake, I think this is the best one. Second would probably be Aladdin. I forgot what's on the list again.
Yeah, now I gotta look at the list again.
Okay, I'll have to show this one more time. I'll share my screen so you can just see it. It's the only way. All right, take a look. All right, I'm gonna read it down. I'm gonna start from Cinderella because that's usually
Start with Cinderella.
All right, is How to Train Your Dragon better than Cinderella? I would say they're pretty close.
I guess so.
Okay, Jungle Book definitely yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Beauty and the Beast, it's
better.
How feel?
I don't know.
Christopher Robin's a better movie. I don't consider
better movie, not a remake. Yeah,
right, it's better than Dumbo. Aladdin. Now we're talking how you feel. Both, I think they're pretty close. The Lion King,
definitely
better. Maleficent 2,
better, infinitely better.
Cruella,
close, better.
Cruella's not even a remake though. It's just like an adaptation.
Yeah, it's not a remake either.
Pinocchio it's better than Pinocchio. It's better than Peter Pan. It's better than Little Mermaid. It's
better.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, by default, yeah.
By default. So you're saying Universal Studios in one try did better than Disney did in 20 tries. I don't know. Either way, we have one comment that I think was challenging one of our points. And Kevin, you're saying that no matter how the public tries to spin this, How to Train Your Dragon live action did not overperform at the box office. Well, maybe it didn't overperform. I'm not sure what your standard overperform is, but I do think that it's performing well to Universal standards, like what Universal wanted it to do. It is doing that. It's performed better than all the animated movies, so I think it's doing well, and I think the kids will keep watching it. All right, so let's keep moving. We have one more movie to hit before we get out of here, and that's going to be Celine Song's latest film coming off of. Did she win the Oscar for Past Lives for writing?
I think she was snubbed almost everything.
No, okay, so she was nominated, coming off the nomination.
Yeah,
In 23, and now she's back with Materialists, starring Dakota Johnson and Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans. I've not seen it, so I'm gonna let you guys kind of take the reign and let John take the reign and lead this topic. What did you think about Materialists?
I thought it was a good movie. It didn't reach the highs of Past Lives, so I think Past Lives was kind of more of an emotional film and more of like kind of a heartfelt film of kind of letting go and things of that nature and kind of reconciling with what you could have had in the past and now what you're meant to have in the future. And this movie was more of like rom-com-esque, but it didn't actually kind of go fully into the comedy, which I appreciated. I think it stayed kind of leveled and grounded in sincerity and honesty. And though there were sparks of comedy here and there kind of to keep it going, and some of the jokes are actually kind of funny, it did kind of still take itself with sincerity. It was kind of heartfelt in the story it was trying to tell, and through Dakota Johnson and these two people and her kind of just navigating in life of what she has to decide between, because it could have gone many ways with it. I know they could have gone like that old school, super, super cheesy 2000s route, which you kind of get a little hints of that here, but is not overwhelming. So I think it's one that fits well in kind of the current climate of films where the writing is smart in a sense, it's nuanced, and she doesn't it's not ham-fisted in any way, which you appreciate in this kind of film. So I think for a modern audience, it was a job well done for this type of movie. And you kind of see her growing in her style and her vision between this and Past Lives, kind of the way she makes films. It kind of translates between both of them, and she does a very good job. So, and the performances, also the acting between the three main cast was all a very good job as well. Everybody handled their emotion correctly and the comedic undertone correctly. So I think overall it was a solid film. Wasn't as good as Past Lives in my opinion, but still very good for her second directorial outing. I ended up with a 4 out of 5 for this film, which I think I'm going to stick at. It was an enjoyable movie. Yeah.
All right, so I might catch it this week actually, so maybe I'll give my review in the following week. So let's go into our what to watch. Last topic of the thing. I think I want one more comment from Kevin. I just want to get in before we get into it. He said that people aren't going to complain and be negative because it's Universal doing the live action remakes. I'm assuming you're trying to say that people are more negative to Disney because it's Disney. I don't know. I personally challenge it. I think Disney in its peak is better than Universal. At its peak, I feel like Disney has not been at its peak for quite some time. Like, so that's just one.
No, I mean it's just Disney animation, that's still king, no question.
But what
live actions have been terrible. Like, you have to call them out on that. It's just been.
But I will actually fight you on that one. I don't think Disney animation is king anymore. I can't think of the last time a Disney made an animated movie that was like better than what Universal's putting out these days. So I think unfortunately Disney's kind of fallen off the wagon.
I guess maybe that's true.
Yeah. Because what was the last good one? Like, someone tell me the last good Disney animated movie. Princess and the Frog, 10 years ago. Like, they don't even do 2D anymore. And if you're talking about CGI, maybe Toy Story 4. What came after that? What do we know? Elemental was okay. That's
Pixar. Count Pixar?
I'm not even counting Pixar. So the last Disney movie, I don't even know, man. But I'm not trying to be a hater. Lion King is one of my favorite movies of all time. All right, so what to watch, our recommendations. Let's get right into what we're recommending. I would recommend, honestly, I'll start first. I'm going to give you a dual recommendation first because I can't break embargo yet. I can only give my social reaction. I do recommend when F1 comes out, you guys go see it. Definitely, it's a directing masterclass. So that you got to see. I'm excited to give my full review on the next podcast. But definitely, I recommend you guys check that out. And then my actual what to watch, and I'm going to actually maybe do a little cheat here and actually give a review for something that I did not give a chance to do last week. And that's going to be the Phoenician Scheme, Wes Anderson's latest picture. And the reason I'm recommending it is just, he's that kind of guy. Like, you got to watch his movies. That's what he's saying these days. No, but the real reason I recommend it, it's not out yet, right? So I cannot say anything about it. But there's one genuinely hilarious scene that I was actually laughing at. It involves basketball. So when it comes to what I'm talking about, I think it's just very funny what they're trying to do. And the arc was funny and some of the characters are funny. And when they say the character's name, I just couldn't stop laughing because it is what it is. Well, I don't want to get into too much spoiler, but it's coming on so long. I don't know why they were doing the press
It's
screening.
been out. What are you talking
It's
about?
been out. It's been
Yeah,
out.
Came out this week.
Oh, came out this week. Have you seen it yet? Well, whatever. Either way, so it's funny. I think it's not Wes Anderson's best movie, but I do think it is up there as like a good funny comedy from him. I think the art, nothing too special, but I do think it's a good watch, and I do appreciate Benicio del Toro's performance overall. Like I think he's funny. Like every line is funny. But his co-star, which I forgive for not having her name on hand, she was by far the best actor in the movie. I think I forgot.
And she's Kate Winslet's daughter, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know her name by heart.
I forgot her name too.
All right, we'll pull it right now. That's it. We'll be nice.
You forgive. You apologize.
I apologize. What's the movie called? What? Finish Scheme. Yeah. All right. Yes, Mia Threepleton. Try correcting that one.
That can't be right, but we'll just go with it.
All right. Now that's it. I'm gonna change the banner, and you guys have to pronounce his name. Look at the banner on the screen.
Threepleton.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. What did I say?
Who knows?
All right. So I recommend The Phoenician Scheme. I give this movie 3.5. I know there's been a lot of 3.5s coming out these days. It's just kind of the curve. I don't think I've given a 5-star this year, or have I? For
Sinners is a 5 out of 5 movie.
Sinners, I give a 5. Yeah, I give it a 5 as well, but we'll see how as the months go on. Do I give it 4 to 5? Keep it 5. I think I'll keep it 5 actually.
I think I might be the only 5 out of 5.
Of this
I know
year,
you're a big Avatar apologist. I don't think Avatar 2 is going to reach 5 out of 5.
I think
they have to really wow me because it's failed so far.
I think there were some other movies coming out, like the PTA movie.
I mean, for me, it's failed.
There's not been one Avatar movie under 4.5.
Okay, Avatar 2 was one of the most boring movies ever.
Oh,
so boring.
It's still
and don't tell me, visual this, visual that. If I want to see underwater, National Geographic or Ocean Special, I'll watch like Planet Earth, BBC Special. No.
Listen, it's changing the game. All right, you don't understand.
Okay. I don't need to see how well computers recreate real life. Just give me a good movie.
It's an alien world. You're believing you're in the world. Okay. We're not doing the Avatar debates. We'll have that later in the year when we have to have it. But that's mine. What about you, Seon?
I guess mine will be, I'm surprised Charles didn't mention this because he put a tweet out about it for his own thing. So I want to do something similar where today is the 20th anniversary of Batman Begins. And Batman Begins is one of the best top 3, maybe top 4 now, origin movies of all time for superheroes. I think everything it did from the ground up was perfect. I loved all Chris Nolan's writing, the performances, everything. I loved every aspect of the movie. Very enjoyable. Kind of seeing how Bruce Wayne comes into his own in the middle. Like it doesn't start as Batman from minute 1 of the movie. Like I don't think Batman now is an origin movie, anyways. But it's like it gives you a good hour to learn Bruce as a kid and as an adult. And when he finally gets to that point as Batman, it's like a big moment. And everything in the movie is just perfect. I very much enjoy it. Unfortunately, the Batman, I do like it more, even though it's not an origin movie, but it's like a first of the movie trilogies. But I think the Batman Begins still, for me personally, a 5 out of 5 movie. And for some reason, they decided not to re-release it in theaters for 20th anniversary, which is unfortunate. But that, for me, would be my recommendation. It's been 20 years, so the whole generation of people who probably who haven't even seen it, a couple of kids here and there. So that's the movie to go watch.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Man of Steel also turned 12 years old, and it's one of the GOAT movies. But I already gave my recommendation, so I'll leave it there. Samir, what about you?
I guess I'll recommend. David Lynch's Twin Peaks. I'm getting through season 3 right now. I'm not even done the show, but season 1 and 2, all peak. I mean, season 2 kind of slows down a little bit because the studio was messing around, but the atmosphere and the characters all so good, and the film too. So all of those, like the first 2 seasons, start with the first 2 and then watch the movie. Then season 3, peak. Just watch Twin Peaks.
Fire Walk with Samir. Interesting.
It's true.
All right, so there you go. That's our recommendations. We definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comments and definitely join the debate with us. What did you think about How to Train a Dragon? What do you make of this whole debate about live action remakes of old animation properties? What do you think about Celine Song's Materialist? And of course, John Wick's Ballerina. Let us know, and we'll be back next week to talk about the next string of movies that are coming out. I think next week you'll definitely hear my F1 review. You'll probably get our 28 years later review as well, and then who knows what else in the middle. So we'll get right to it. From myself, from Zayan, and from Samir, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.